Boatbuilding News, the podcast. Let's do it. Welcome to Boatbuilding News, the podcast, a series of engaging interviews with key individuals from within the marine industry. I'm excited. This is going to be epic. Boatbuilding News podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Hollie.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. So, Marc Hawxhurst, give yourself a little introduction. Tell us who you are and what it is that you do.
I am the president and founder of Luxe Yachts, which we started in 2017. We do solar electric yachts, build those, as well as do refits on existing boats and put electric motors in them. We've been kind of expanding what we offer here in the United States, offer electric equipment, and the business has been kind of growing organically for about 6 years now.
Awesome. So let's just sort of take it back a little bit before we focus on Luxe, and tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how you came to be sort of where you are now doing what you do.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily from the boating industry. My experience, graduated with a finance degree, and I got my MBA in supply chain management. Then I worked as a database engineer and in the digital world, automating and doing work like that for most of my career. And then kind of saw an opening in the market where you could build a boat that is better than the boats that existed in the market. And then I set out to build the supply chain to do that and offer that to products, explain what was possible. And that's how I got into the company Luxe, and we started it.
So have you always grown up around water and on boats? Has that been something that's been part of your life, or is that sort of only since you started to sort of be an adult?
Yeah, I guess I bought my first boat, I guess at 25. I wish all my friends had boats. I was out near the water, but none of my friends had boats, so I had to buy my own, which is generally worse. But I loved it, and I was doing contract work, so I'd work 6 months at a company. I'd create a database, and then I'd take 3 months off the summer, and I'd boat, and I did a lot of boating. And the kind of the trip that inspired the build, which is a 40 to 50 foot electric catamaran, I took on my Boston whaler, and I wanted to look into electric in 2017, and the equivalent motor that I had was a 75 horsepower Mercury 2-stroke, and to go electric, it would have cost about $70,000, and my boat was worth about $7,000. So I thought, well, this doesn't make sense for me, but where does it make sense? And that's kind of where I used my modeling background and said, okay, we have this much horsepower. The electric motors cost this much. A motor in a boat is typically this percentage of the price of a boat. And if you add a solar array of a significant size, then you get to a boat that has more capability than boats on the market. And at the $1 million price range in the 40 to 50 foot, kind of where I thought we can build a better boat. And at that same time, when I looked into it, Torqeedo had just released the whole package. So now you no longer had to be an electrician to piece together all these different products. The whole package was available, and just applying that to the right platform was kind of the missing link.
It's quite interesting the way you think about it, because I think that's quite unique, is that I think probably 99% of people either wouldn't have that thought, or if they did have that thought, it would be a fleeting thought, not a kind of a practical, logical, sort of very data-led approach to, okay, I've had that thought, let's see if I can solve that. Let's see if you must be quite a natural sort of logical problem solver to have even got to that thought process.
Well, potentially. I think going out on the water, especially in New York, is really just about like being independent and going and getting away from everything, and that independence and that ability to be on the water and have everything you need. That's kind of driving, okay, what type of boat would allow me to do this? And if you can now generate more power than you're using, well, that's something that doesn't exist in the market. And how do we get to that spot, and where can we, piece together the parts to make it happen? And that's kind of where the road that I went down. And it was a deep road. And of course, in 2017, 2018, I was basically the crazy person talking about electric yachts to everybody who would listen. And then, eventually got my first client and was able to prove the concept. And then more and more people kind of came along in the same thinking. And now it's a totally different market than it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. 2017 isn't that long ago either, but actually people's perception and mindset towards electric boating has shifted hugely. And it's not even that long, is it, in such a short space of time? So you kind of solved a problem for yourself, but then went one step further and thought, well, if I can solve this problem for myself and how I can get my boat, running on electric, you then went, well, I'll start a company and I'll start solving this problem for others as well. It's quite
well. I solved the problem, but it wasn't for myself, because the basically what it said was the boat has to be around $1 million, and that's where you can build a better boat. And I didn't have $1 million, so I eventually want to have.
That's a common problem.
So I couldn't. Then it said, all right, well, then let me offer this to customers. I know it's possible to build. Let me source all the material and let me deliver this. And basically the harbinger of electric boats. Let me explain to people how this can be done, and then we'll bring it to market.
Right. And then that was Novolux was born.
Novolux was born. Yeah.
Where did the name come from?
Well, it was, I guess three of us were kind of hammering out names. We wanted something with the sun, Nova, and it had to be a nice boat, because at the price point, it has to be a certain quality. Now, luxury is a great thing. I'm not necessarily, use those things in my everyday life, but to offer this, it had to be at a certain price point. So Novolux, it was kind of a group effort, and a lot of people like the name, and I like how the Europeans say Novolux, and I like that too.
Oh, so, do they really? Oh God, I didn't think about that. It does have a different ring, but it does. I love
it. Sounds good.
So what is, in a nutshell, so what does Novolux actually do? So you take an existing boat or a new boat and you electrify it, essentially. Is that you in a nutshell?
Well, I would say Novolux is electric done right. So we test electric equipment, we know how it works, and we can deliver it to a customer. Now we do our own new builds with the E-Light series. Our flagship boat is going to hit the water this fall, and we import some of the European boats. A lot in Europe, they have a lot of good equipment, a lot of good boats. They kind of were in the electric boat market a lot earlier than the Americans were. So I go to Europe, I look at what's working, what's the best equipment, and then I bring that over to the United States and say, hey, this is what we need. Both new boat builds and then refits. So a sailboat that your motor's going is almost always a good choice, electric in your next boat. And we kind of evaluate for customers. You have a boat, you're thinking about going electric, if it will be a better boat at the end of the project, and then we'll source all the materials, we'll install it, and we'll do that refit. So new builds as well as refits and equipment.
So what is it that, I mean, what you're saying doesn't sound, too sort of revolutionary, but what is it that you guys do that is better than than anyone else, or is different to anyone else? What sets you guys apart?
Well, I think what sets us apart is the reason that we're going electric, and a lot of I guess a lot of people are saying, well, we can do the same things we can do with the electric motor. Maybe they swap out the electric motor, but that's not the real benefit. What you can build something that is superior to the ICE model before. So that's why we're targeting this. That's why we're building electric boats versus, oh yeah, you can do it with electric. It will be greener. And that's true. But in America, we want the best. So we want the best item. And that resonates with our market. And people just don't know that the electric boat is better. And it's better in a lot of different ways.
So that's interesting, I always think, because, with the electrification of the industry, of course, we all understand that it's greener, it's better for the environment, it's more cost efficient. We understand all of that, and it almost is a sort of a given. But actually, to really put the focus on the fact that it's actually, regardless of whether it's greener, regardless of whether it's more cost efficient to run, it's actually better. And that's
it's a better experience.
There's no compromise.
It's a better experience when you're on the boat. It's more enjoyable. You're able to do things that a diesel boat could never do. And then with an appropriate amount of solar power, you're now generating more power than you use for your house load. And now you become independent. That boat is energy independent, and it can be anywhere in the world. You can work from that boat. You can do a lot more. You no longer have to be retired and you go out on the boat with the grandkids. You go out on the boat, you can do some work. You're in some sort of location that's amazing, and so it appeals to a broader audience.
That's interesting as well, because the average, well, maybe it's a perception thing, but the perception of the person that is buying boats of that standard, you're absolutely right, is somebody that's at the end of their working life, that they've had their successes and they're kind of enjoying the fruits of their labor, I suppose is the correct term. Like you say, the grandparents taking their grandkids out for leisure purposes only. But if you've got a boat that is, like you say, energy efficient.
You have Starlink, you're totally connected to the internet. You could take calls, you can remote work from it. Well, now, that brings the buying age down from 60 to, 30, 40. And it's a different market. So that's really where it gets kind of exciting too.
And also, I suppose, that generation shift, it just is a fact. If you're the older generation, you are a little bit more resistant to change because how it's always been done, and it's always been done that way for you for quite a long time. So, you've got the broader mindset of the younger generation coming in that are probably more open to a newer concept, and are probably also a little bit more aware of the environmental impacts as well.
Well, and you're 100% correct, but I don't want to leave the older guys out. There's a lot of older sailors. Yeah. Sailors are generally older, and at the guys, they want to keep sailing, but their body, they're not climbing up to the crow's nest anymore. Let's just say that. So they want that same sailing experience without all the work of sailing. And so transitioning as a sailor, as you get older, to a power catamaran with a large solar array, you still have that same wonderful experience on the boat, but the level of effort to maintain the boat, to operate the boat, just drops dramatically, and it allows you to stay on the water into the older age. So we have benefits for on the top end of the age scale and on the lower end.
Oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. I hadn't even thought about, the physical aspects of sailing the boat. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's quite interesting as well. So you're actually seeing people who, the boat is also not, you say you can work from it. So people are actually working their daily jobs on the water, mm-hmm. as opposed to working their daily jobs in what you imagine to be, a house or apartment, and then going out and enjoying the water for leisure. Like they're actually, this Absolutely. Is where they're living.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it changes the market. It opens up the boat market instead of maybe the second home that's on a lake or something like that where they might do a little bit of remote work from. Well, why not a boat, and why not anywhere in the world? It's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so interesting what you're saying about, what the Americans look for being, for having, achieving the best experience, first and foremost, and then secondary looking, okay, well, how's that powered? Because I feel,
Hmm.
speaking from the UK, I feel that anyone who is passionate about the electrification of the industry are passionate about it for environmental reasons or cost reasons, or,
Hmm.
not off. I mean, obviously they want a great experience on their boat, but it's not first and foremost above the environmental reasons. So it's a really interesting sort of mindset difference between, one part of the world to the other, which is, shows the importance of you having to be acutely aware of who your audience is and actually what their buying pains are.
Yep, and I would say, the green boat buyer is just a sliver, a tiny, tiny sliver of the market in the U.S. And I'm working with those people now. They were my first customers, but I'm not targeting them, as marketing. Really, when I am happy is when somebody who didn't think they were a diesel guy. They loved their diesel boat. They didn't think electric was the right choice. They saw it, and they realized, wow, this experience is something, and now I'm open to it. Those are the people that really are going to change the market. And so when you can do that, it's you enter the large portion of the market, and that's kind of how I've been positioning the company, and trying to grow.
That's really interesting because I suppose, if you're selling to the people that are kind of already, they've already converted, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? It's an
Yeah.
easy sell.
Yeah.
You've kind of won their minds already. But if you can start converting the people that were perhaps against it or hadn't considered it, that large portion of the industry become, it slowly starts depleting, and the electrification slowly starts growing. Do you know what I mean? Until the balance is shifted, I guess, is the ideal.
Yeah. And then I guess a good example of that is we just finished a dinner boat, and the owner said, we're going electric. The head mechanic on the job, a diesel guy, he loves diesel. Okay, didn't think it was going to work. We were able to put the motors in, and he does dinner boat cruises. Take 12 people out. You drink wine and you eat cheese and you cruise around Washington D.C. And
Wow.
before, they'd shuttle everyone into the boat. They turn on the diesels. There's black smoke. There's rumbling. You have 200 horsepower diesels and a generator running the entire trip. Now the experience is people get on the boat. And a couple minutes later they say, "Wait, did we pull away from the dock?" It's
Oh,
that quiet,
really?
and it's a total silent experience. You could hear the birds chirping when you go down the river, and in this application, it's a serial hybrid. So your battery for the entire trip, but if it ever goes low, the generator has been rewired. It charges the battery, and you have the same range you used to. So you're really not losing anything, and you're getting
Yeah.
that just better experience.
Yeah, 100%. And do you find, I mean, I speak as somebody who, okay, with my car, I don't own a boat, but with my car, I had oh my goodness, it was beautiful, a performance BMW, a diesel performance BMW. And I switched to electric. And now, so I've got a Tesla now, and I could not imagine ever being in a situation where I would consider going back to diesel or
Mm-hmm.
petrol. So do you find that once people have gone electric with their boating, they don't then go back?
Well, I would say that everybody who reaches out to me has a Tesla. They have an electric car. They've seen that it works. They understand that their experience is just so much better, and
Yeah.
now they think, okay, yeah, it works there. They're not going back to an ICE motor, and they're looking for, okay, I can now in the marine market we can do this too. So without the electric cars becoming so popular, and people seeing them, people driving them, it would have taken a lot longer for the electric boat market to come of age. But now there's many people with the same experience, and they think, okay, let me look into electric as well for my boat, and it's helped a lot.
Yeah, I mean, and also as well as I think I think once you switch to an electric car, and we've almost had years and years of that misconception of, oh, but what if you can't charge it? What's the infrastructure like? What if you get here and you can't charge it? And you switch to the electric car and you realize, I've never been in a situation where I can't charge it. There's always a
Yeah.
charger there. No, and is it the same? What's the infrastructure like for electric boating?
Yeah, there's all these kind of misconceptions, and oh no, I can't go 500 miles on my boat at 20 knots. Well, how many times have you done that? Because it's
Yeah.
probably zero, and you take the boat 2 hours, you go somewhere to a sandbar, and then you hang out there for 4 hours, and you come back. That's how people use the boat, and the misconceptions totally go away after you go on a boat and you say, wait, actually this works, and this can do everything. I would say that boats are a little different than cars, because you do have to have more power than a car. And when you accelerate in a car, you're just accelerating for a couple seconds, then you kind of coast. But in a boat, you're pushing that water the whole time, so you're going to use more power. And really, how we size things is you can go electric with batteries for a day. A day is 4 hours at cruise speed, 8 hours at lower speeds, and then an hour, 2 hours at your top speed. But if you want to reach past that day, then we are talking about hybrids. And the hybrids I like to do most are those serial hybrids, where you have a generator, which most boats have anyways, and it's just rewired, and that's your secondary source of power. So once you have these power in the batteries, you get power from your solar, you get power from your generator, you get power from your shore, and you have this mix, and then you have everything that you need. And then on infrastructure, every marina has plugs that will charge boats. I try to size the charging system so overnight you're fully charged. You go out on the boat all day, plug it in at night, the next day it's fully charged. I mean, that's what you need. There's fast chargers. I think the need for fast chargers is kind of overstated.
Right.
Only in a boat rental situation where somebody goes out, drives as fast as they can for a couple hours, and then you have another customer, that's when you need your fast charge. But in almost every other situation, the infrastructure at the marinas and the docks is going to be it's already there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that's also, the beauty of why somebody would come to somebody like yourself, like Novolux, to plan their sort of electric boating future, because this is the knowledge and, the expertise and the problem solving mind that you can give. So not only can you physically make their boat electric, but you can say to them, this is why the battery's this size. This is the capabilities of it. This is the functionality. What do you want to do with your boat? And this is the solution that you need. And that's the unique part of you. It's your knowledge, really, isn't it?
Right. And again, you could say, well, I don't make any of the motors. I don't build any of the electric systems. But if you talk to somebody that makes motor ABC, let me tell you, the answer to your electrification is their motor ABC. That's their answer. But I offer every product that exists to electrify the boat. Find out what type of boat you need, and actually this product is best for you, this water world motor or that rim drive motor. And that's kind of the value add, and the ability to go on a boat, to understand how it will work, and to get the right equipment to do the job. That's kind of the expertise of Novolux.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the whole business model is so sort of logical, isn't it? Logically, I can't see how it would ever struggle if there doesn't seem to logically be any holes in your business or your business plan. But I mean, you're living and breathing it every day. What is challenging you? What's keeping you up at night?
Well, the business plan has developed over the years. It's the goal, the North Star was an electric yacht in the 40 to 50 foot range, and it took 6 years, but we're got to it. The things that kind of changed over time was my original plan was a major brand, your Leopard, Fontaine, Peugeot. That electric version would be the Leopard 53 by Novolux, okay? And that's your electric version. And I unlike a lot of people who have a business plan and an idea, they think it's a top secret thing, everybody's going to steal it. I would call everybody, I'd talk to all these manufacturers and said, this is exactly how you make an electric boat. Can we do an electric boat together? And after 2 years, I got nowhere. Basically, they listened, they heard the plan, they know how to do it. Nobody would make a deal. So, okay, I had to adjust the plan. Now let me go to a smaller builder. Let me find somebody that I can build my own branded boats with and deliver that, because the first, the first plan just didn't work out. It was a good plan. It would have worked, but nobody would do a deal. I had to, basically the summer of 2020, again, my modeling experience kind of came in, and I would calculate using the fuel burn of every catamaran on the market. I would look at it and say, okay, would this be good as electric? Would this be good as electric? And I did that for every boat I could find. And then if it was good, I'd contact those supplier, say, hey, can you do this, your model with this electric package? And eventually I found somebody with the boat that is efficient, that is light, and then with a few adjustments, this boat is going to really sell, and that's going to be my electric boat. So there's always challenges, but we've continued forward. And then the other thing with supply chain, you really realize that one company does not do everything. They don't. You have an iPhone. There's probably 1,000 suppliers for each part of that boat that are separate entities. Foxconn puts everything together. This other company gets the chips. This other company gives you the glass. So it's really always a supply chain. It's always a amalgamation of different suppliers, whether you own them or not. You're building a product based off of somebody else's product that has already been built. You're not going to source the battery material and then create the battery and then put the battery in the boat. That's impossible. You get all the equipment that works, you test the equipment, and then you put it into a new package, and that's the business.
Yeah, I mean, so in all of that, I mean, you logically come at everything, don't you? That you look at a problem and it's almost like nothing phases you. You just go, let's lay it out logically and solve it. You're a very sort of mathematical mindset, which I think is perfect for what you're doing, because you are solving people's electrification problem in a way that their mind might not work like yours. And they might think, I know that I want to go electric. I find every option too overwhelming. I don't know what's best. There's too much out there. And you just go, let me tell you, and let me put it out in black and white, logically, simply, so that people go, okay, the barrier to getting into electric boating now is not overwhelm or knowledge, because I've got Mark there from Novolux doing all of that for me.
And by doing it all of it for you, I mean, I have, I guess, to supplement, what is not my expertise, I work with experts. So like early on, I hired a naval architect to run analysis. I basically ran the analysis myself and said, this is how it's going to work. Let me double check that. I'm going to have a naval architect do the same thing. I'm not going to tell him what my answer was. And he's going to build a report, and he's going to tell me, okay, how will this perform? And then it comes back and his numbers are rosier than mine. I say, okay, perfect. This is good. I'm going to use this as support, and then continue to build out. So you find people with the expertise that you may not have, and you bring them into the team, and that's how you grow.
Sure. So looking back at everything that you've achieved, was there ever a moment that really sticks out for you that you thought, oh my goodness, like I'm onto something here. Like this is going to work. Like I'm proud of what, I've seen the challenge. I'm proud of what I've just done. Was there a moment that just sticks in your mind that you think, yes, Mark?
Well, I think it's got to be the first deal, and so the
Oh,
first job is the hardest. So before I electrified a boat, well, I'm just explaining to people what is possible. I'm just creating, and that's all that I was doing. This is possible. You should do it. Then the first deal, I kind of nicknamed it the Bermuda deal. I met somebody who had a similar interest, who had the finances to buy the $1 million boat, to put the electric equipment and the desire. And I found him because we were both sourcing equipment. I'm trying to figure out, how do I build this solar array? Where are my suppliers? How much will it cost? He's doing the same thing. We got in contact with each other. So met the guy on the internet, and then he says, I'm going to be in Bermuda these dates. Was Mother's Day 2018. And I sold my car. I flew to Bermuda, and that's when I got the first deal. I wound up doing that job for free because at that time, I didn't have the experience. You could either pay for schooling or you could do work and learn. And that was the where kind of cut my teeth on, okay, this is the system, sold the system. And at the end of the project, the boat worked. And it's like, okay, good. Because all my friends and family were just sick of hearing about electric boats and this and that. And now there's the boat. I told you that it was the boat. It's done.
oh my goodness.
Now, the one thing I would say is I thought I'd be successful in 2 years. It's now 6, and now things are really starting to cook. So it takes longer than you think. I finished the boat. I thought, wow, now I proved it out. People are gonna be knocking at my doors, and nothing happened. That's actually COVID hit, and it was like, okay, I got to keep pushing. So now we're there. It takes a little longer than you think, but we're at a good spot.
It always does, doesn't it? And people who look on from, people who look at successful people in whatever field, they always think it's taken less time than it has, especially nowadays with social media. If you look at anyone who's saying that they're successful on social media or appears to be successful on social media, you look at them and you think, gosh, that was quick. It was overnight. But that you don't realize the years that go into it behind closed doors that no one sees.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it takes a while. And then it's kind of like having a party. Like, you invite everybody to your party, nobody shows up. And then a year later, someone's knocking at the door saying, hey, is this where the party is? And it's like, yeah, of course. Yeah, come on in. And things grow. But it's
your year-long
been going well. Yeah, right. No, this is the spot, and we're still in business, and let's do this.
Awesome. So what's exciting about the future? What are you looking forward to? Can you share some of your plans that you've got coming up that's making you get excited?
Yeah, and so the line I get from like 50% of people is, oh, electric, that's the future. Well, that's the past, and it's the present, and the future is also electric, but what we're going to be able to do with it is another level.
Wow.
So some of the things that electric boats allow you to do, like station keeping, virtual anchor, whatever you want to call it. You just hit the button, you stay there. Well, on an ice boat, the motors are running the whole time. They're shifting gears, shifting in and out. It's not really that great on smaller boats. But with an electric boat, with a solar array of a certain size, you can do that silently, stay in that spot, and station keep, almost unlimited amount of time. So I'm most excited about that. I think that there's a future where mooring fields, no longer have mooring balls in them. You just send your boat to a location, stays in that location, you call it from the dock. You say, boat, come pick me up. So that stuff is all possible, and it's going to come to the marine market soon. Autopilot's going to get a lot better as far as accident avoidance, and just the ability to boat well. The bar is being lowered and lowered, so that somebody without a serious amount of experience on the water can operate a boat and effectively can go places with very minimal effort. And that's just getting more and more exciting.
That really is, isn't it? Because boating is just not exclusive anymore. Do you know what I mean? That barrier, that sort of entry level barrier, is just being lowered from all angles, isn't it? To just getting people out on the water more, making it easier for them, which is amazing.
Yes, that's important. And then like the real shift is becoming a generating more power than you use. Like at a solar array of about 5 kilowatts or more, you're approaching the point when you're covering your entire house load and you're generating more power than you use. That is hugely different than using more power than you get every day. Hugely different, and that it opens up a market that possibilities that are really haven't been explored that much.
Wow. I mean, you're absolutely right when you say that people say, oh, electric boating, that's the future. And actually, you're also absolutely right when you say, no, wake up. Like, it's not the future. It's the here and now, and should have been the here and now way before. So, we're looking past that.
Yeah, we do presentations at different yacht clubs just about the history of electric boats. The electric boat was in the 1800s before the petrol boat. Okay, so electric boats came first. ELCO stands for Electric Launch Company. They were building electric launch boats, the World's Fair. We explained, okay, electric motors can power every single boat. Electric motors exist. It's possible. What the shift is, and the change was in 2017, and Torqeedo was really the first ones to do it, and is that battery, the lithium-ion battery that has been marinized, and now you have the power to support that electric motor, and that opens up the market, and that shift is monumental, and this is kind of, I would say, the second era of the electric boats. And I would say it started in 2017, kind of when I looked at it. Prior to that, there were some electric boats, but they were lead acid batteries. They were slow. They were the little, oh, cool, that's a little electric boat. Not anymore. The electric boat is a performance boat now.
Oh my goodness, so exciting. So who's been the biggest influence on your career or on your business decisions?
I try to learn a lot from the electricians that I work with. I get technical a little bit. I know enough to play an electrician on TV, so I know, okay, this is how it's done, and this. So I try to learn really about the equipment, how it's done. But my biggest influence, it was a job I had at a consulting firm. I would say at Altman Valandry. And that, I got the job kind of through the back door. My sister knew somebody that worked there, and I said I knew how to do SQL databases, and I got hired as their SQL database guy. And this company, everyone else was an Ivy League student and extremely smart, extremely hardworking, and in this environment, I really learned so much. Just understanding how different businesses work, understanding how to solve problems, and how to get things done. And so my time there kind of shaped my understanding of what's possible. A consulting firm, they go into different businesses, they figure out a problem, they understand the problem, they solve it. How do they do that? They hire the right people, they source the right people, they get it done. There's really no magic, special sauce. I always like to say the special sauce is ketchup. It's always ketchup. And that's just hard work and putting smart people on the job, and that's kind of what shaped my business career.
I mean, yeah, like you say, it took longer than you needed than you thought it was going to. So it is that relentless hard work and that not giving up on a vision that you've got, even though you're not seeing the immediate rewards. And that's the tough bit, isn't it? Because there's a lot of people. There's a small amount of people that will make it, and there's a lot of people that will give up before they make it when they actually had an idea that could have made it. But the difference between those people is not necessarily the beauty of the idea. It's how relentless they are in pursuing it.
Oh, absolutely. And taking punches and not going down was definitely the early years of Novolux, and there you just keep on stay on the course. Like I know that building this boat is possible. I knew it. And if I would listen to people, but people who said, "Oh, it's not possible," that means nothing. If they say it's not possible because XYZ, that's good feedback, and you have to adjust your plan for that. But that's pretty much the story. I when I eventually switched from doing contract work and went Novolux full time, I had good jobs before. They paid well, and everybody said, my parents, my wife, why don't you do your data analytics? That's you make good money there. And so I said, no, it's Novolux or nothing. And then, just to seal the deal, basically make sure there was no back door. I went on, LinkedIn and basically posted I'm out of the data analytics business. I'm done, and put my back against the wall and said, we're going to go with Novolux. It's going to be successful, and I don't have another plan. That's it.
Oh my goodness, there was no plan B.
Yeah, there's no plan. There's no emergency shoot. You make plan A work.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I absolutely love that. So just coming to the end of the podcast now. I mean, I always finish on the same question every time, and I'm super excited to hear your answer to this. So what one quote do you strive to live by that kind of motivates you every day?
So I had to, ask my wife this, and she said, well, you say, just keep pushing forward all the time. And I said, do I say that? And that's basically, what I've been doing. Just try to make progress towards a goal. And then when things get tough, work on it from a different angle, and then go back to where you are. But if you're making progress, every day, 6 years later, you look back and say, wow, now I have boats in the water, the boats I tried to build, and I forget it, but you just keep pushing forward, and you will get there. That's it.
Yeah, and I love the simplistic sort of nature of that, because it's almost like, okay, I know what my end goal is. I'm not going to keep focusing on that. I'm just going to keep doing that 1% all the time, just making progress, pushing forward until you look back and you don't realize how far you've come.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. It's and you forget when you're in the weeds every day, and there's problems to solve, this and that, and you're like, you don't feel that like you've done anything, and you're talking to somebody else who then says, well, you have all these electric boats, you have your business. It's like, oh yeah, things are going pretty well, but just keep pushing forward.
Yeah, but then I think you're right in what you just said there. When you're in the weeds every day, there is benefit, isn't there, for taking a step back and just almost looking back at what you've achieved, or looking at what you've got in front of you, and just taking a moment to say, we have done something. It is going somewhere. Because if you're in it and you're blinkered in the weeds, you sometimes don't take that opportunity to look back, do you?
Well, and the things that do get done, like what they're amazing and great, but the sweat and the blood you had to put in to get that piece done, by the time it actually closes, it's no longer a celebration. It's like, yeah, I did that, and I left part of my soul behind, in order to get here. So you don't sip the champagne thinking it's a total success, but you just have to, you get there.
Oh my goodness. Well, I have absolutely loved hearing all about you, all about the electrification of the industry, about Novolux and what makes you guys different to any other offering out there. So thank you so much for your time, Mark, and I really look forward to speaking to you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And once this boat hits the water, we'll have to get you out. I think we'll bring it to Cairns next year. So
oh my goodness. It's on tape now. I will hold you to that, Mark. I will see you there.
Well, thanks a lot, Hollie. Have a great day.
I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, then it would be awesome if you could leave a rating or a review.
Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen to us again. See you soon.